Yesterday, the 2nd of September 2025, a woman was arrested over threats to Simon Harris's, the Taoiseach, children, and she was released without charge. Now, the headline of this is Taoiseach hits out about despicable social media messages. And this one is great. It brings up an amazing question about freedom of speech. Now, this is obviously, of course, about the Justice for Harvey wait time for scoliosis treatment for kids. One child actually ended up dying. You know, he was waiting, I think, for 8 years on the waiting list and then passed away at 9 years old. So there was a bunch of hashtags on X. It was like Justice for Harvey times 100,000. So everybody used that hashtag saying Justice for Harvey, Taoiseach should resign, Simon Harris should resign. Even AIM2's leader came out saying that he should resign, this kind of thing, which is all above board. You know, you're allowed to kind of have that freedom in this country. I believe Simon Harris has actually said you're allowed to have those freedoms as well. But where the line gets crossed, guys, is when you're actually threatening people with violence and you're threatening people with hurt, okay? This is a good one to talk about because we have the entire article here. It says a woman was arrested by An Garda Síochána's counter-terror unit in relation to the credible threats made to Taoiseach's children has been released without charge. The Gardaí confirmed a file will now be prepared for the DPP. So she's actually going to get prosecuted for this, okay? When the file is prepared for the DPP, that means that she is going to get prosecuted. The woman, who's in her 30s, was arrested in West Dublin on a Tuesday afternoon by Gardaí probing threats, which she referred to kidnapping Simon Harris's children. Jesus. She was held under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act in 1984 at the Garda station in Dublin. She has been identified as part of the inquiry after Gardaí secured information on social media account used to post the messages. So she probably posted them on Facebook, X, some major platforms that we have, X, Instagram, Facebook, any of those social medias. Posted on a Meta social media platform over the weekend, the messages warned that Taoiseach's children would be kidnapped and violence carried out against them. And see, this is where the sort of freedom of speech crosses the line. You can't threaten people, and are those threats credible? So I would argue that this woman's threats aren't credible. You know, some woman saying that she's going to do some crazy stuff on the internet, to me, doesn't really seem credible, but definitely you have to take them credible because he is the Taoiseach, and, like, you know, these people of public office have to be protected. Now, if I was Taoiseach, I wouldn't personally care because, you know, you're surrounded by special forces, you know, the Irish Army Rangers, you're surrounded by the best of the best security 24/7. So it's not that really big of a deal. Now, the issue is, are these threats credible? And of course, you have to treat all threats kind of as credible if you're the Taoiseach. For me, I get, you know, lots of hate sometimes on some different videos from people. And it doesn't really matter, guys, because it's not really credible. It doesn't really matter. People say they're going to do this and that. You know, it's just being on social media. That's just part of being on social media. Everybody gets trolled. Everybody gets threats. It's kind of just how it is, you know. But I suppose if you're the leader of the country, one of the leaders of the country, then you have to take it as credible. But I don't think some old lady, you know, posting after having a few glasses of wine, Justice for Harvey, and saying all this crazy stuff is credible. But that's another thing, you know. Of course, you don't want to see people being threatened online. That's crazy stuff. Me, I get that all the time. Unfortunately, nothing will ever be done about that, but that's okay. You know, that's kind of what you sign up for if you're on the internet, guys. You know, you get threats against you. It is what it is. You know, nothing's ever happened to me, and I don't think anything's ever going to happen to Simon Harris personally, but, you know, people are allowed to speak their mind. Like, you are allowed to say, absolutely, it's despicable. This guy should retire. He should resign. There should be some sort of back and forth between the people, some transparency about the Justice for Harvey, but then also, you know, there has to be a fine line there between people going crazy saying they're going to kidnap people. So it says, investigators from the SDU, the Special Detectives Unit, which oversee issues relating to national security and violent political extremism, were probing the matter. A security source said the incident involved threats to kidnap his children and carry out threats of violence, which, you know, you can't have that. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that this helps the movement or something. It doesn't, guys. It discredits the movement. You have to analyze things as a professional. When I come on this YouTube channel, I joke and laugh, but it's a sense of professionalism you have to have, okay? The SDU is being assisted by the inquiry by local Gardaí and special detectives attached to the Garda National Cyber Crime Bureau. So there is now a cyber crime bureau where people are being watched. Like if you're saying some crazy shit, obviously that's not allowed. I say it on my channel. I've actually said that multiple times over the last year. You cannot threaten people on the internet. That is completely illegal. And that's what, of course, that crackpot Roma Gypsy did. What's his name? Benjamin Petre. And he got arrested for it as well. Rightfully so, right? He was threatening to slice up Irish kids and all this kind of crazy stuff. So he did get arrested for that. It is the latest threat to the safety of the Fine Gael leader and his family over the last year, with previous instances including a bomb threat being called to his family home, masked men gathering outside the property, and threats of violence being made against his wife and children. So yeah, maybe the leaders do see some sort of violence or some threats like that. But like I said, I'm pretty sure they're surrounded by the best security in the country. I don't think you could even get within 10 yards of these people without some detective or special forces guy pushing you away. Garda headquarters was made aware of the recent threat on Saturday after several messages were posted online and made specific reference to Mr. Harris's children. The SDU had also been aware of the fact that Taoish's home address is being circulated among far-right actors and online platforms. Here we go. Okay, so they're trying to connect this with far-right actors. And yeah, releasing people's home addresses is like doxing. That's also legal. Doxing is huge. It actually happens quite a bit on like the online sphere. Like if you're streaming or doing Twitch platform, this kind of thing. Doxing is huge now. So you gotta be very, very careful. Do not be releasing people's address online. But like I said, that's only if you're, in power, like when the Taoiseach did the Taoiseach. If you're just like a low-level guy like me, we get no protection. Okay, I have to be like a UFC fighter, protect myself at all times, but that's all good. That's the life you choose, right? A spokesperson for Meta told the Sunday World does not allow threats of violence on our platforms. So Meta, which is Instagram, Facebook, we remove content and accounts that break the rules, as we have done in this case, and are continuing to work closely with law enforcement. So this is an American company, Meta, Facebook. They're coming out to tell the Sunday World that they removed her platform. They removed her Messenger, her Facebook profile after this. In such cases, the company works with law enforcement where they believe there is a genuine risk of physical harm or direct threats to public safety. Gardaí headquarters confirmed that an investigation into the matter is ongoing. In a statement yesterday, the Taoiseach said, "This weekend I received direct threats to my family." He says, "As a father, I have very strong views and feelings on this, as you can imagine. As a political leader, I find it unacceptable in every way. Let me be clear, threatening people, any person, is a crime. Threatening children is despicable. It is a cowardice and is a line that no decent society should tolerate being crossed. I will not be commenting further at this time on any ongoing Garda investigation." So yeah, crazy news story. And what he said there at the end, he said, unacceptable in every way. Threatening any people of any crime, any person, is a crime. That's happened to me already. But, we actually met the person that was saying he was going to slap me, and nothing happened to them. So it is what it is. I'm not going to be dishing out prosecution, to people, especially when it's just, playful banter, I suppose. I don't take any threats really that seriously, unless it's like, someone sending like bullets through your mail or something, then you start taking threats credible. But until that point, I don't think for the average person like myself, it's that credible. But yeah, crazy story. So that's a discussion that people can have now. It's like, what do you think in the comments down below? Tell me what you guys think here. Do you think that you should be allowed to say whatever you want? Do you think that you should be able to threaten everyone? Or do you think that should be a crime? Because most people would probably agree with me, like that's not good. You shouldn't be threatening people. It's disingenuous to the movement. It kind of brings down the more conservative movement that is taking place in the country at the moment. We can do it politically, we can do it professionally. It doesn't have to be a crazy, like everyone's threatening to kill people on the internet. Like that's not the way you conduct business, of course. So the next news story we have here is Graham Linehan being arrested at the airport on Monday for posts joking. He's like a comedian. He's actually the guy that invented and wrote Father Ted, one of the greatest Irish shows of all time. If you're Irish, you've obviously watched every season, every episode of Father Ted, as have I. It's a great show. And they arrested him for unacceptable tweets. Now, the difference between this one and, of course, the Simon Harris situation is these weren't direct threats against kidnapping people and crazy stuff. He was just joking. He was making a joke against transgender people, I suppose. So it says, these tweets are totally acceptable. I think it was proportionate to arrest them. So Zach Belinsky, Green Party leader, on the arrest of the comedy writer Graham Linehan at Heathrow Airport on Monday. So this guy agrees that he should have been arrested and he should have got put in prison for tweeting about and joking about stuff. So pretty bizarre stuff. Let's listen to Zach Polanski.
According to Graham Linehan, because the only thing the police have said is that they've acknowledged a man was arrested on suspicion of inciting violence. That's why the police say they turned up. What's your view, Mr. Polanski?
These are totally unacceptable tweets, and I accept that people who are in politics, we get lots of abuse. But let's also face, we shouldn't get abuse. Yeah, and I certainly recognise that women get more...
Ooh, let's stop it right there, guys. You know, these people that are in charge are complete narcissists, okay? People that say you shouldn't get any criticism is completely wrong, guys. You should absolutely get critiqued. You know, if you're in politics, if you're on the internet, if you're putting yourself out there, you absolutely have to get critiqued and get criticism. To be so narcissistic to think that you'll never receive criticism for your thoughts and ideas, that you should have a safe space to, you know, to conduct business, that's not real life. That is not how things are. You know, if you're bringing a new idea to the forefront, you should receive criticism. Absolutely. 100%. So these people, delusional. Okay.
Abuse than I do, for instance. I get a lot of anti-Semitic abuse.
Yeah.
I'm one of a few Jewish leaders that have been in British politics. Today, a Muslim man was elected as my deputy leader, Motin Ali. I've seen the amount of Islamophobia he gets. We also know that for all of those groups, trans people have been in the sights of the nastiness and the toxicity for a long time. Now, I accept proportionality of police response is a conversation we need to have.
Well, do you think this was proportionate?
I think it was proportionate to arrest him. I think there's a pattern here.
5 armed police officers turning up.
Well, that's the bit that I don't understand why they were armed. Yeah. And again, I'd need to hear about the police response.
Why they were...
Well, they were armed because they were police. They were airport police. Like in the airport, there's credible threats of terrorism and people crashing planes into buildings. If you haven't noticed 9/11, you know, that's a credible threat. These things could happen, bombs and stuff, because it's a public place. It's a very busy airport. So there has to be security with guns, guys. Because if some guy has a bomb or a knife or a gun themselves, then they have to be able to handle any situation. That's why they have weapons. I don't care about that. What we care about is the tweet itself was just a joke. He said if someone was to attack you, something like that, some trans guy was to attack you, then you should hit them in the balls or something. And he was kind of basically playing on the fact that trans people still have male genitalia or some bullshit like that, right? Just a funny little jab, nothing too serious. But of course, man gets arrested because he was in the US. And like I said yesterday, the US still have that sort of comedic freedom. And in the UK, that's been stripped away. You know, the UK don't really have that comedic freedom anymore. I think the last time there was comedic freedom was around Frankie Boyle's time, like that sort of thing. Frankie Boyle, Mock the Week, Dennis Hugh, all these different kind of comedians. Russell Brand too, but Russell Howard, you know, all these different comedians that the UK produced. Now there's really none anymore, apart from Jimmy Carr. Comedy and humor has just been killed in the UK because of these sort of lack of freedom of expression. So it's pretty sad. And of course, the only people that are calling for arrests of tweets and Facebook posts are the left, guys. It's the left-wing, woke, Marxist, communist people. They want to see a massive reduction of freedom of speech for some reason. It's bizarre to me. So the last news story we have here is from Boyne News on X. It says, this afternoon outside an all-girls school in North Inner City Dublin, a man exposes himself. So I don't know what all this crazy stuff is going on in Dublin, but apparently a lot of crackpots exposing themselves, running around the place in Dublin freely. Let's watch it.
Just outside Charleville Mall Library here at St. Vincent's Girls' School in the North Inner City. A guy was allegedly exposing himself and masturbating outside the school this morning, was arrested, then came back this afternoon, done the same thing again, was taken down by a number of locals who dealt with him in whatever capacity they felt was necessary at the time.
This causes a lot of issues. It's, not only is it not safe for the guy, because the guy's going to keep getting beaten up like Benjamin Petre. He's running around saying he's going to kill people, exposing himself. These people are going to get beaten up, hit, hurt, and then on top of that, he's threatening kids, young girls on the North Inner City. It's just bizarre. Dublin is just turning into a nightmare daily. Welcome to Ireland 2025. That's from Boyne News. Absolutely. You know, this is Ireland 2025, and it says he was taken down by a number of locals, and they beat him up. You know, not that I'm saying that's right, but this kind of shit is just crazy now. You know, you have in 2025 people running wild in Dublin, and nothing is being dealt with it. But fortunately, the police came and arrested the guy, so hopefully he spends a long time in jail. But knowingly, he'll probably be released on bail later that night. So, and ironically, the Lad Bible put up a post the same day as all these crazy exposing themselves to women, Gardaí dying, you know, people dying, people getting stabbed. The same day all this stuff happened in Dublin. The Lad Bible, which is a government mouthpiece as well, they're getting paid by the government to say these posts. Ireland has been ranked the second most peaceful nation in the world. Complete insanity. It says the study was carried out by the Global Peace Index, introduced by the Institute of Economics and Peace. The report created the rankings by assessing factors such as the index measuring safety, conflict, and militarization. Ireland was only behind Iceland, and the USA ranked 128th, while Russia ranked the lowest. So, crazy stuff. I don't think the USA or Russia should be high, absolutely not, but definitely, Ireland cannot be second anymore. Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, Ireland is peaceful, but not at the moment. Not at the moment at all. Every day there's stabbings, every day there's some crazy murder or some crazy crackpot exposing himself or some insanity happening in this country. So I think that this is literally just put out to brainwash the people, because the mainstream media is dead. I said it every single time. The mainstream media is dead. And unfortunately, that's what we're up against now. We're up against the mainstream media telling us every day there's attacks, stabbings, shootings, murders, this kind of thing. And then on top of it, we have the entertainment sector saying Ireland's the most peaceful country in the world. You see, it's a complete paradox, and it literally is demoralizing the people. It's crazy stuff. It's literally brainwashing the public to thinking that Ireland is still safe when it is not. Absolutely not. Someone was just randomly stabbed in my local city on Saturday. And some guy ran around Dublin and attempted to stab 6 different people the same day. So how the hell they assess these rankings? I mean, they must have been ranking this on some... I don't even know how they ranked this, because there's no way that's even real. Let me know your thoughts on that. If you guys want to support me, hit the join link underneath the video. Become a member today for just €3 per month. We have 21 members now, so I appreciate that. And if you guys could as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because 81% of viewers are still unsubscribed. If we had even a fraction of the amount of people that viewed my videos subscribe, it would be a lot better for me. So I appreciate the love and support. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Do not forget, 81% of you guys aren't subscribed. What the hell is up with that, guys? What the hell is up with that? So I appreciate the love and support, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.